All right, so lower fares for passengers and better profits for drivers. We are, of course, talking about Quulo Ventures Sendirian Berhad, and I have with me in the hot seat Vinesh, Nair, Managing Director. And Quulo, if you haven't already guessed, is basically a technical outfit, but they are also one of the latest additions to the e-hailing market in Malaysia, and it's the first community-centered e-hailing service platform which connects drivers and passengers. So Vinesh, how are you today?
I'm okay, Tehmina. How are you?
I'm great. So Vinesh, tell us, what inspired you to get into the e-hailing side of things?
Well, I guess this is started by four of us, and we found that in Malaysia there are a lot of drivers driving e-hailing services. There's close to about 400,000 drivers in Malaysia.
Wow, 400,000?
Yes, 400,000.
Oh my goodness, Malaysia-wide, yeah?
Yes, just Malaysia. And we found that, it's a good business to be in. It's something that's growing, and it's something that definitely needs help, and we thought we could be that help.
All right. But of course, I mean, the thing about, coming into a market which already seems like it's dominated by the big players, namely the Ubers and the Grabs, and we've also seen a couple of other ventures like My Taxi actually fall off to the wayside. Why decide to come in, and what kind of a difference and advantage do you feel Quulo is providing that can make it comparable and perhaps even outperform the existing guys?
Well, I think we come into the business bringing something new. Of course, the end service of passengers going from one point to the other is the same. But the mechanics of the business that we bring to the table is different. See, unlike what's already in the market, which is based on commission, we are solely based on subscription, 100% no commission.
Aha, okay, so that's your big point.
Correct.
Okay.
So passengers, they're able to pay lower fares, while drivers are ensured to earn more money. We do not charge them any commission. We only charge them a fare of a subscription of 4.99 cents per day.
I see, right, which is very different from, let's say, even looking at the taxi services where they could be paying up to 100 ringgit or more every day.
We also do, for taxi services, we cater for them too, and they only pay us a subscription of 1.99 ringgit per day.
Oh my goodness, okay, so that's really attractive.
It is.
Just from the sounds of it. So, how long has Quulo Malaysia been around, and what's the reception been so far?
We are fairly new. We've only been here for about 7 weeks now.
Okay, wow. Okay, not even 2 months old and already making waves.
Yeah, and I guess in 7 weeks in Kuala Lumpur, we've got about 400 registered drivers.
Wonderful.
And about another 137 registered just last week. In Sabah.
Sabah.
Especially Kota Kinabalu.
I see. So that's definitely, it's talking about, people are looking for a change, in particular the drivers themselves.
Correct. Now, our focus was basically, we started off in KL, but KK or Sabah just took off by itself.
Ah, all right.
Yeah, and we went there last week, addressed the drivers, and now it's fully operational in Kota Kinabalu.
Wonderful. Now, what's feedback that you're getting in so far from, let's go for the driver's side first. What are drivers telling you they like about Quulo, and what kind of benefits are they able to garner, which they really weren't getting from the other apps?
Well, actually, what they like most is that they're able to make money, sufficient amount of money, versus the time they spend driving.
Right.
Well, what they used to get was, they feel like they have to work a couple of extra hours, maybe another 6-7 hours, just to make sure that they make money that they want. Because they're going to end up paying commissions for whatever they earn. Whereas on our service now, they are able to do things better, fitting for their lifestyle, because they do not need to pay commission.
Exactly, because it's also about, when we look at proportion of the population, 400,000 Malaysians, as you say, who are out there providing e-hailing services. That also brings up the big question of, is it humane to be driving around for 16 to 18 hours just to make your daily money?
Exactly. I think in other countries, especially Western countries, there are limitations to how many hours a e-hailing driver can drive.
Ah, right. Okay, so the legislation is on par already.
Right. So I think Malaysia, we're just coming to all this, but what Quulo brings is that we are able to allow drivers to to drive humanly hours. 7 hours, 8 hours, still make more money than what they used to make.
Oh, wow. I think that's definitely a brilliant option. And now from the passenger side of things, what kind of feedback have you been garnering from them?
Well, I think passengers, firstly, the fares. We are able to give them lower fares because we do not charge based on commission. So
would that also mean that you're not taking into account the usual surge pricing, which we also experience on other apps?
Yes, we don't. We don't need to do that because ours is subscription module. So we get to set a standard price, and passengers will actually find it lower than what's already in the market.
Wonderful. So I think it's like a big win-win on both sides.
Exactly.
Of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the legislation part of it. What do you think about what SPAD has been doing so far in the Malaysian scenario? And I think it's a lot different today, end of December 2017, than it was in, let's say, even January of this year, where we actually experienced and we saw a lot of incidents reported, which were either altercations between taxi drivers and e-hailing drivers, and there were a lot of other things that have been smoothened out. How has SPAD also assisted in ensuring that things go along better for everyone?
Well, I think SPAD needs to be credited. They have been awesome, and what they have been doing to smoothen the e-hailing service in Malaysia has been really good. They've brought everybody together, all the service providers together. Now, since this is it's legal in Malaysia, they bring us together. They meet us every twice a week. Sorry, 2 times every month, and we discuss what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and how they are going to implement all the laws for the service. So I think they get to us very, very well. They give us all the information that we need. They assist us in everything, in every way that we need. And they've been really awesome. They've been really, really good.
It's great to hear. I mean, like fortnightly check-in with the grassroots is really the way to go, right? Right.
And also, I think the plan that they have put together for implementation next week looks really good, and I think it will work out well for everybody.
Exactly. So now when you're looking at e-hailing services as a whole, do you also figure that perhaps in the next couple of years there will be even more e-hailing services providers in Malaysia? Is it growing as a market, or has it kind of reached peak mass already?
Well, I think that Malaysia we're still new when it comes to e-hailing. 400,000 drivers that I mentioned earlier. I think it can still go up to about 700,000. And this will definitely leave room for more players to start this. But I'm not sure how the government is going to be managing this, but I'm pretty sure they will come up with one way. Because if not, you can't have too many, you can't have too less.
That's right.
They must have an equal amount of service providers to cater for the country, but I really don't know how they want to do this, but I guess they'll work it out.
Yeah, so of course it's also all about encouraging that healthy spirit of competition as well, right? Now tell us a little bit about the finer details of Quulo, Vinesh. For example, how does it work? In general, I think a lot of our viewers out there, they might be quite familiar with the way Grabs and Ubers work as far as e-hailing apps go. So in general, it's that you book your ride and then, for example, Grab, one grouse that I have heard about a lot, I've also experienced it personally, is that you do not often get a driver if you're headed into a jam zone or if you're headed somewhere far, because the driver can actually see your destination and that leads to a larger rejection rate. Well,
I think the mechanics of the app more or less works the same across all the service providers. But what we do differently is that when a driver gets a ride request, he does see the pickup location and the drop location, but we do not show him the amount he'll be earning.
I see, right. So it does not become a monetarily influenced decision then.
Yeah, because I think it's also important to let the driver know where he's going. Because in some cases, some drivers tell us that they pick up a call and the passenger wants to go to JB. So sometimes he just can't go, but because he's picked up the call, he has to drive all the way to JB.
Yes.
So you want to give them a little bit of leeway to do this, but in the same time, you want to make sure that they pick up calls as well. So, so the best thing we figure we do is not show them the price.
Right, so there's still some wiggle room in that sense, and you can draw your own estimates.
Yes.
Now, when we speak about some of the other issues which drivers face, what are some things that you have gotten some feedback about that drivers wish that they could improve so that they can not perhaps be under constant threat from perhaps rude or unruly passengers, because that happens as well, right?
Right. I think our system, we've implemented 2 ways reviews. So when a passenger ends a ride, he or she is able to review the driver, but at the same time, the driver is able to review the passenger as well. So the next time when a driver gets a call from a passenger, he's able to see the stars that the passenger has already earned. So if it's low stars and or it's high stars, it's up to the passenger actually. So they get to see what passenger are they actually taking. Because passengers are also, you can't say that only the drivers are causing problems. Sometimes some passengers do cause problems too.
Naturally, it goes both ways, right? Okay, so now when we talk about drivers and passengers, there's also the fact that the operation area plays a big part in whether or not the services will be popular. You mentioned KL, but in particular, are there any communities or neighborhoods that Quulo is particularly active in?
Well, I don't think we have a particular area because you see the drivers that we have, majority of them are full-time drivers and they spend about let's say 7-8 hours a day on the road, and they are spread all over KL. You see, probably the first hour they would be in Bangsa, the next hour they would be in Mount Kiara. So we don't exactly have a specific location, and I think in 7 weeks that we are in, we can't identify if we have a specific location that we are doing well. But at the moment, we are working well generally all over KL.
Right, so it's pretty much great as long as you're in the Klang Valley area.
Correct.
Okay, now what about any future plans for Quulo expansion-wise? Where else do you hope to be able to take it? Like, as you said, Sabah, it kind of organically grew over there.
Yes.
Where else would you like to see Quulo also head in?
Well, at the moment, of course, our focus would be Malaysia. We would want to be our services provided everywhere around Malaysia.
Okay.
But we've also got requests from Sri Lanka, from New Zealand, asking if we would like to implement the services in their country. And of course, I think I haven't come across another service provider that does a subscription module as well. Yeah, so I guess at least in Southeast Asia or Asia, we would probably be the first person who's doing a subscription module. So I guess this is something that's working, and based on what we see in Malaysia, drivers love it, passengers love it. So I guess it's something that we want to take it globally.
Exactly. So I mean, only good luck with all of that, because definitely it's a model that could use a lot further expansion. Now that you've sort of gotten your test tube right, you know it's going well, right? Okay. Now when you talk about Quulo, so where do people go to download the app? Where can they find you on social media to keep up to date?
Well, we are in the Android stores, iOS stores, and we are also in Instagram, Facebook, and all our drivers, we put them all together in a WhatsApp group as well.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, so
that must be a really active, constantly on.
We've got our administrators administrating it for 24 hours a day, and any problems they face, anything they have, they just bring it up there in the WhatsApp group, and we solve the problem straight.
Okay, so really getting to the issues as they happen. So customer service obviously plays a big part in what you do, right? So of course, for everybody else there listening to us, it's Quulo Malaysia, Quuulo Malaysia, on all social media platforms, as well as you said, on Android and App Store.
Correct.
Right. Now, any parting words for the audience out there about why they should perhaps give Quulo a chance?
Well, I think for passengers, very importantly, when they use Quulo, they need to understand that they are allowing drivers to earn more.
Right.
Yeah, drivers are going to benefit if passengers use Quulo. And of course, from the driver's side, if they use Quulo, they are going to be paying much lesser than what they're already paying, and they will be making better income for them and their family.
Exactly. And as you mentioned, it's also open to taxis for subscription.
Yes, it is.
And how many taxis do you have in so far?
We only started taxis late last week.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, and so far we've got about 63 registered taxis.
Wonderful. So wishing you all luck with the venture, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much, Tehmina.
Absolutely. So there you have it. Vinesh Nair, Managing Director of Quulo Malaysia, telling us about this e-hailing app. So go download it, check it out if you're the type of Malaysian who needs to have your e-hailing apps on the go. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tehmina Kaoosji, signing off for Bernama Today.
Dan informasi sahih, tepat, mantap. Pertama di lokasi, dari segenap pelusuk negara. Saksikan Buletin Bernama hanya di Bernama News Channel.